Hello everyone and welcome back. I know exactly what it feels like to look in the mirror and wonder if you will ever be enough. I know the quiet, heavy sensation of sitting in a room surrounded by people who seem smarter, faster, and more capable than you, and feeling like you are entirely invisible. You look at the world moving rapidly outside your window, and it feels like a movie you are not allowed to star in. You are just watching. You are trapped in the audience, holding a ticket for a life that feels too small, wondering if this is all there will ever be. I know this feeling because I lived inside it. I was not born with a commanding presence. I did not enter this world with a booming voice or an intellect that easily absorbed the rigid lessons written in textbooks. I was an ordinary boy, born into an ordinary family, in a city that, at the time, felt disconnected from the vast, spinning globe. When you start with very little, the world does not expect much from you. And the real danger, is that you begin to agree with the world. You begin to believe the silence around you. You look at your circumstances, the narrow streets of your hometown, the limited resources in your pockets, the grades on your report cards, and you silently negotiate a surrender. You tell yourself, this is my place. But deep down, there is a pulse, a small, restless rhythm in your chest that tells you the horizon is an illusion, that there is something wider, something breathtaking, existing just beyond the edge of what you can see. For me, that realization did not come from a grand revelation or a magical moment of destiny. It came in the form of a foreign language. It came through the strange, unfamiliar sounds of English. It began with a cheap, crackling radio. I remember turning the dial, pushing through the static of local broadcasts, and suddenly catching the faint, distant frequencies of voices speaking a language I could not comprehend. To anyone else in my house, it was just noise. But to me, it sounded like a transmission from another universe. I sat there in the dim light of my room, listening to the rhythm, the cadence, in the rise and fall of those unfamiliar syllables. I did not know what the words meant, but I knew what they represented. They represented the outside. They represented a vast, complex, vibrant world of ideas, cultures, and people who lived thousands of miles away. In that small room, listening to that quiet radio, a profound curiosity was born. I realized that if I could decipher this code, if I could learn to shape these strange sounds with my own mouth, the walls of my small reality would begin to crack. I realized that language was not just a school subject to be tested on. It was a key forged in sound, capable of unlocking doors I had previously believed were welded shut. But knowing a key exists is very different from possessing it. The classrooms in my youth were rigid. Learning was a process of memorization, of repeating dull phrases from dry books, of passing examinations that measured your obedience more than your understanding. I knew immediately, do not waste your time learning English like this. If you treat a language as a mathematical equation to be solved, you will strip it of its soul. You will learn the mechanics of the bridge, but you will never actually walk across it to meet the people on the other side. I did not want to pass a test. I wanted to touch the world. So, I made a decision that would alter the trajectory of my entire existence. I decided to leave the safety of my room and go to the only place where the world came to my city, the Hangzhou Hotel. Every morning, long before the sun had a chance to warm the pavement, I woke up. While the rest of the city was still asleep, trapped in the comfort of their beds, I was out in the cold. I had a heavy, rusted bicycle that squeaked with every rotation of the pedals. The ride took 40 minutes. Sometimes it rained, a freezing, biting drizzle that soaked through my jacket. Sometimes the winter wind whipped off the West Lake, cutting across my face and making my hands completely numb on the handlebars. I would ride through the empty, gray streets, my lungs burning, my heart racing, fueled by a singular, desperate hunger. I was riding toward the Hangzhou Hotel, because that was where the foreign tourists stayed. I had no money to travel the world, so I realized I had to wait by the doors and let the world travel to me. I remember standing outside those heavy hotel doors for the first time. I felt incredibly small. I watched the foreign visitors walk out, tall people with different colored hair, wearing clothes I had never seen, carrying cameras and maps, speaking loudly and freely in that magical, intimidating language. My stomach tied itself into agonizing knots. The fear of approaching them was a physical weight, pressing down on my shoulders, telling me to turn around, get back on my bicycle, and go home to where it was safe. But the hunger was stronger than the fear. I took a breath, stepped forward, and forced my mouth to open. I offered to be their free tour guide around the city. In exchange, I only asked that they speak to me. Those first conversations were a disaster of communication. I want you to picture the reality of it, not a romanticized movie montage. Picture a young man, nervous, sweating despite the morning chill, standing in front of a stranger, opening his mouth, and failing completely. I mispronounced almost everything. I used the wrong tenses. I forgot the words I had studied the night before. There were moments of agonizing, awkward silence where the tourist would just stare at me, confused, their eyebrows furrowed, trying to decipher the broken puzzle of sounds falling from my lips. I felt the heat of deep embarrassment rise in my cheeks. My peers laughed at me. People thought I was strange, a fool chasing tourists around the lake for free, humiliating himself day after day. But this is the secret that the comfortable people do not understand. What looked like weakness to them was actually my training ground. Every time I blushed, every time I stumbled, every time a foreigner gently corrected my pronunciation, the armor around my ego chipped away, leaving behind raw, hardened resilience. I was not just memorizing vocabulary, I was dismantling my fear of judgment. I learned to speak long before my vocabulary was ready. I did not wait for perfect grammar to form in my mind before I opened my mouth. Action must come before perfection. Confidence is not something you magically possess before you start. Confidence is the scar tissue that forms over your embarrassing mistakes. I committed errors relentlessly, day after day, year after year, until the errors simply lost their power to control me. For 9 years, I rode that bicycle. 9 years of mornings, of rain, of sunshine, of nervous hellos, and long walks around the West Lake. And slowly, imperceptibly, a transformation occurred. I wasn't just learning how to ask for directions or how to describe a local temple. I was listening to their stories. I was listening to how people from America, Europe, and Australia viewed the world. They asked me questions that challenged my assumptions. They shared perspectives that shattered the invisible boundaries of my local mindset. English was no longer just a collection of words. It was becoming my global vision. I was sitting in a small city in China, but my mind was walking the streets of New York, London, and Sydney. The language was fundamentally rewiring the way my brain processed reality. While my mind was expanding, my reality on paper was a string of bitter failures. I want you to understand how deeply I was rejected by the systems of my own society. I was not a star student. I failed my middle school exams. I failed my high school exams. When it came time for the university entrance exams, I failed twice. My mathematics scores were catastrophic. I was told, in no uncertain terms, that I did not have the intellectual capacity to succeed in higher education. I felt the crushing weight of being labeled a disappointment. When I tried to find work, the rejections multiplied. I applied to be a police officer. They looked at me and said I wasn't qualified. I applied for a job at a fast food restaurant that had just opened in my city. 24 people applied for the job. 23 were accepted. I was the only one told to go home. Imagine walking home after that. Imagine the quiet humiliation of knowing that you are the single person deemed not good enough for the lowest level of employment. Rejection is a physical pain. It knocks the wind out of you. It makes you want to hide in a dark room and never offer yourself to the world again. But every time I was turned away, every time a door was slammed in my face, I retreated to my secret sanctuary, the English language. When my own city told me I was useless, I would go find a foreigner and hold a conversation about world history, about economics, about culture. English did not ask to see my math scores. English did not care that I was rejected by the fast food restaurant. English only required my effort, my voice, and my willingness to try. It was the one arena where my failure was entirely in my own hands. And because of those 9 years of talking to strangers, my skin had grown incredibly thick. I realized then that English had taught me the ultimate survival skill. By forcing myself to look foolish in front of foreigners every morning, I had accidentally trained my spirit to endure the agony of being told no. I had learned to separate my personal worth from my temporary failures. When a tourist didn't understand my broken English, I didn't die. I just tried another word. When the world rejected my job applications, I didn't die. I just looked for another door. Learning this language was the crucible where my resilience was forged. At first, I thought I was simply trying to learn foreign words. Later, as I stood back up from my latest defeat, I realized I had been learning courage all along. I had been learning how to stand completely exposed in front of the world without the urge to hide. This is why I tell you, do not approach learning as a sterile, academic chore. If you view learning English, or any difficult skill, as just a hurdle you must jump over to get a piece of paper, you will quit when the pain of effort exceeds the desire for the certificate. You must change your philosophy. English is not grammar. It is not a vocabulary list you stare at until your eyes blur. English is absolute access. It is the invisible bridge that connects the small, quiet room you are sitting in right now to a vast, loud, brilliant universe of opportunity. It is a tool that trains your mind to think laterally, to understand that the way things are done in your immediate surroundings is not the only way things can be done. It is the ultimate vehicle for curiosity. Look at what you hold in your hands right now. You have a smartphone. You have the internet. You have more access to the world in your pocket than I had in a decade of freezing bicycle rides. You do not have to wait in the rain for a tourist to walk out of a hotel. You can summon the voices of the entire world with a tap of your finger. Yet, so many of you are paralyzed. You are sitting there, quietly consuming content, wishing you were better, wishing you were smarter, wishing you had the confidence to speak, to create, to connect. You are waiting for the perfect moment. You are waiting until your accent is flawless. You are waiting until you have memorized every grammatical rule before you dare to write a comment, send an email, or speak into a microphone. You must stop waiting. Perfection is a lie invented by people who are too afraid to step into the arena. If I had waited until I was ready, I would still be sitting in my room in Hangzhou. I stepped into the world completely unready, unarmed with anything but my curiosity and my willingness to be the fool. I invite you to be the fool. Embrace the awkward silence. Welcome the mispronunciation. Write the broken sentence. When you feel the heat of embarrassment rising in your chest, do not retreat. Lean into it. That heat is the friction of your boundaries expanding. It is the sensation of your old, small self burning away to make room for a global citizen. You do not need an elite education to claim your space in this world. You do not need to be the smartest person in the room. You only need to be the most relentless. When you make a mistake, let it hang in the air, look at it, learn from it, and then speak the next sentence. Action generates courage. You cannot think your way into becoming confident. You must speak your way there. You must stumble your way there. You must walk through the dark, unfamiliar corridors of learning a new skill until your eyes adjust to the light. Every time you open your mouth to practice, even if your voice shakes, you are casting a vote for the person you are becoming. I was not destined for greatness. The universe did not hand me a map. I built my map, word by broken word, on the misty shores of the West Lake. I built it through rejection, through humiliation, through the relentless pursuit of understanding a world that felt impossibly far away. The distance between where you are and where you want to be is not measured in miles, and it is not measured in intelligence. It is measured in the amount of discomfort you are willing to endure. It is measured in how many times you are willing to look silly in the pursuit of growth. Do not let your current circumstances dictate the size of your imagination. If you are sitting in a small town, let your mind wander the globe. If you are surrounded by people who say no, learn the language of those who say yes. English gave me the power to communicate with the future before the future arrived. It allowed me to see the internet not as a foreign concept, but as the ultimate extension of the bridge I had been building since I was a teenager. It gave me the vocabulary to articulate a vision that my local peers thought was insane. When you learn to communicate globally, you learn to dream globally. So, I am speaking directly to you right now. Look at your life. Look at the excuses you have built around yourself. I am too old. I am too busy. I am not talented enough. I do not have the right teacher. Strip them away. They are illusions. You have everything you need in this exact moment to begin. You have a voice. You have a mind. You have the capacity to fail and the strength to recover. Start today, not tomorrow, not next week when you feel more prepared. Today, open a book, watch a video, repeat a sentence out loud until your tongue aches. Go find a stranger, online or in person, and type a message or say a word. Let your voice tremble. Let your grammar fall apart. Let the world see your imperfections and realize that the world will not end. In fact, that is exactly where your new world begins. The future does not belong exclusively to the brilliant, the wealthy, or the privileged. The future belongs absolutely to those who keep learning, who keep speaking, who keep failing, and who refuse to stay down. If I could start my journey with nothing but a rusty bicycle, a crackling radio, and a desperate willingness to make mistakes, then you can begin your journey right now. Speak, fail, grow. The world is waiting to hear your voice.